Hi everyone! Are you tired of your city looking like this? Tired of having rows and rows of the same boring row housing? Tired of packing your citizens like a can of sardines? Well, you came to the right place. In today's episode, I will be showing you an easy way to use row housing to build beautiful neighborhoods of townhouse communities. Our first order of business is selecting an area to expand to. This location is perfect as it is sandwiched between the downtown and the industrial park, making it a perfect residential neighborhood with easy access routes to both areas. Towards the industrial park, we can think about separating our residential neighborhood with a shopping strip mall and maybe a cemetery. As you can see, our city's death care is absolutely garbage. Probably a good idea to add one. Oh man, no wonder our citizens getting sick. Our healthcare is also garbage. But I think it's okay for the citizens to suffer a little. The first thing I'm going to do is to finish my key around the coastline or riverbed. And that will help me establish a base point or a perimeter of this section and area for me to develop our road layout. After we have the perimeter of this section established, we could think about how we want to lay out the roads altogether. And I know that I want my residential area to be somewhere around here. That way, it's closer to the main downtown area and city center, have accessible path to this portion of offices, but not too close to the polluted area where the industrial zone here is over here. And like I mentioned earlier, we could separate it with some commercial district and the cemetery over here. As I'm looking at this right now, if I were to put a road that extend the arterial right now, going straight down, that's a 10% slope to 7% slope, and it is pretty unnatural to have that huge of a dip. Now, one way that if you ever encounter this in your city, what you can do is instead of having that dip, and which will look very, very awkward, I will actually click on this elevation here and pretty much bump up this whole area to be the same elevation as this. That way it'll create a elevated platform for our new residential areas, but also it'll make this area a little bit more interesting to look at. I want to extend this road all the way up here and attach it to this end of the key. To do so, I will do the same sloping method that we did over here, but I will establish this as the level we want to be at. So we'll click over here and we can start the slope from here. Next, we can start looking at the block that we want to build our townhomes in this case, it will be this square block over here. I would actually remove the center one because we don't really need it anymore. We could build smaller roads inside this community to create more townhomes. These townhome communities typically have 2 or 3 entrances to the block with many pedestrian roads leading into it. And part of the beauty is this is centralized over a park or pool or something like that. So we're gonna think about how we will lay out our plan here. And I will start by using the 2-lane road to draw out the layout I want inside the community. And here it is. The townhouse community is complete. I'll explain a little bit about my thought process while designing this. Earlier, I mentioned about the row housing being very similar to a real townhouse, and this is the reason why. In a townhouse, it is very compact, just like how you see this unit over here. The only difference is that in real life, this little yard that you see at the back would actually be a garage entrance. Now, knowing this helps me plan where I want my roads. I started this community with Robin Street right here. I wanted to plan for this Central Park location, so I snaked around this road. This effectively gives me a good access point to this park, as well as 2 entrances to this neighborhood. Then, I added alleyways off of Robin Street. This street will be the Hawthorne Lane you see here, the Coleridge, and the Briar Rose Lane. These act as entrances leading to each unit's garage and will be present in a real-life townhouse. In this case, I pretended that the front of the row house is that garage. So these will hypothetically be the garage. Notice how I made sure that all of the streets and pedestrian pathways here are perfect 90 degrees angles. This is to ensure that I could populate as much row housing as I could possibly be. And one strategy that I did while planning this is for each 4 tiles, I would place a lane, or for each 3 tiles, I'll place a pedestrian pathway. That's to make sure that I have perfect 3-unit row housing on each corner. As for the parking situation in this townhouse community, it's usually one of the 2 things. The first one is you'll have rows and rows of perpendicular parking, or you'll have a parallel parking in small areas in the community. In this case, I went with the latter. I wanted a lot of sidewalk greenery, but with small sections of parking opportunity. So in this case, I avoided the entrances to be parking. That's just not very ideal. But towards the center, you can see there's 1 spot here, 1 spot here, 1 spot here, and the last one will be over here. These will be the main areas of parking for guests. After adding the parking spots, it is very common for these townhouses to have a lot of well-kept plants all around. So don't be hesitant to place a ton of them and place a variety in an organized manner, just like how a real townhouse community would be. As you can see, this community have a lot of pedestrian pathways that leads out and around the neighborhood. I'll show you another way how you could maybe develop a townhome area, but if you have a smaller spot, that is still fine. And I'll use this area here as an example. To start with, I'll use the 4-lane, not 4-lane, actually the 2-lane tool here, and determine a entrance into the community. I'll place one maybe around here. I would make sure that the 2-lane, the road that you're placing is right perpendicular to one of these units, just for a cleaner unit management. So probably let's try to right here. And like the other townhome community that we created, we then use an alley as the garage entrances for this unit. So here, I will place it over here, and then over here. Now, because this community is way smaller than the one we've created earlier, we have to find a place to put parking spots. And what better way than a parking lot? So let's go with the medium parking lot. For the small parking lot, there's a fence around it. I don't quite like that in a residential setting, so I'll go with the medium parking lot. It's without the fence. It looks more natural. Just go ahead and place it right here. And then we could frame the other center side of the entrance is right here and right here. Now, when you look at the units here and you can count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. The one at the center could have the same treatment as over here where we have a pedestrian pathway. So let's add that in right now. Go ahead and put this over here. And then let's just go ahead and have this one. Nice. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Just like that. Now that we have a general idea of where we want to place our houses, the next question is, do we want a small park in this community, or we just want to frame it with houses? Now, for me, let's see how it looks like after we place a park. Let's remove this road for now. We could place let's try something else. Let's try a basketball court. Okay, we still have 3 units here, which is good. And we could add back the pedestrian road to here. And that looks pretty good, so let's keep this with the basketball court, and we'll finish up with adding the medium density row housing. Nice. So even with a small lot like this, you could definitely be creative with developing a community of row houses instead of the long streets of boring repetitiveness. This can definitely be an option for you to design your city. I'll go ahead and do the rest of this, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye everyone. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comments if you have any below. Thank you.